Last week, Labour's Tristram Hunt announced that he would stand down as the MP for Stoke-on-Trent Central. He's about to become the director of the Victoria and Albert Museum, earning north of £200,000. Sounds pretty cushy. In my view, it's a plum job for a guy who is a complete plum. After all, darling Tristram, aristocratic blood no less, once crossed the picket line to give a lecture on the work of Karl Marx and Frederick Engels. Now, a by-election in a Labour seat naturally means that the media, and sadly much of the Labour right too, is going to talk up the prospects of a UKIP win. Labour only have a margin of 5,000 on the seat. Well, that's because Tristram was remarkably unpopular already, had the lowest turnout of any MP at the last general election, but they're very, very eager to say that UKIP could win this, with John Harris in The Guardian going so far as to say this could be Corbyn's Waterloo. Most people in Stoke don't know who Paul Nuttall is. They don't really know much about his Catholic fundamentalist, Matalan Milo, bargain basement, Breitbart bullshit. They will just look at the guy and say, you look like Adrian Edmondson, or maybe Harry Hill. You're a complete wacko. When they hear his stuff on abortion, or women's rights, about bullying Muslims, come on. Let's be reasonable. Most people aren't this weird. And he's got nothing to say about all the things that matter. Pay, public services, housing, the NHS. He wants a private NHS. And I don't know who their candidate is in Copeland, Adolf Mussolini or something, but equally, they're not going to do so great either, okay? UKIP are on to hiding. That's why Paul Nuttall isn't really that sure if he wants to run the seat or not, because he knows he's about to get his ass handed back to him on a plate. That's not the big question, okay? UKIP and how they do in Copeland or in Stoke is not the big question. The big question for me is, why are the media, again, same old story, so eager to hype up the UK Independence Party? And at the same time, diminish Labour under Corbyn, or leftist politics in general. Well, I'll tell you why, okay? It's because print media, broadcast media, broadly speaking the establishment, would rather politicians like Farage be in a cabinet than Diane Abbott. They would rather Paul Nuttall be in Parliament than John McDonnell. They prefer the politics of xenophobic ultranationalism, and let's be honest, fascism, to socialism. They would prefer working people to blame migrants for falling pay than big business. They'd prefer working people to ask for corporate tax cuts than to ask the renationalisation of the railways or higher minimum wage. That's their preference. That's where their interests lie. Let's not kid ourselves. Let's not bullshit ourselves. But I understand why the Mail, I understand why the Express, I understand why these people, the Sun, will champion UKIP. What I cannot forgive is the Guardian, or progressives, John Harris, Polly Toynbee, David Oronovich. You can guess which Oxford College each went to. I can't understand for my life why they would big up the chance of UKIP, even in a seat like Stoke, where actually they're probably going to get hammered. Why would they do that? Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because they can't do anything but run their mouths. They couldn't run a country, they couldn't run a party, all they can do is run their mouths. They're good for nothing, really. I've said this stuff about journalists before, and actually it was pretty unfair. But these three in particular, and by the way, there are some terrific people at The Guardian. Not those three, but there are some terrific people at The Guardian. They have no clue. And they always talk about echo chambers and preaching to the converted. John Harris, or Polly, or David, come with me to Stoke. Let's go talk to people on the doorstep and let's talk about what they think about rail privatisation. Or let's talk about minimum pay. Or let's talk about housing. Or let's talk about NHS services. Let's do it. What do you think they're going to say? The reason why you don't go to Stoke, why you won't come to me, look, we can get a little Navarra video team on the case, is because you would have to talk to people who don't already agree with you. All this bullshit, all this mudslinging at Corbyn or people like me is because it's you. It's displacement. You've not persuaded anybody for 25 years. Pathetic. Okay, so John Harris was in Stoke, but he treats it like a fucking safari park. It's like Marwell Zoo. He's like, what do these racist northerners think? Motherfucker, persuade them. You're the one who thinks you're so much more intelligent than anybody else. Persuade them. Build an argument for socialism. No. With this intellect of yours, this fine education, 2 parents were university lecturers, you're talking up UKIP. How are you progressive? But the people I feel most sorry for, my heart really goes out to them, is the people of Stoke. You've been subjected to Tony Pulis, then Tristram Hunt, now potentially Paul Nuttall. How many idiots can the people of Stoke put up with? I think the buck stops here. They're going to humiliate Nuttall. They're going to send him with his bags all the way back to Liverpool. A Scouse Conservative. Anything's possible. What a wonderful world in a way, right? But look, my question is this. The media, Jesus, The Guardian, I can't even make sense of what's going on here. Why are you bigging up UKIP when they really have no chance? They're about to get hammered. Fine, put it to one side. But Paul Nuttall, my boy, if you're watching, Harry Hill, Eddie Hitler, Adrian Edmondson. My question to you is very simple. Nobody else is going to ask this except Novara Media. If you get your ass handed to you on a plate, will you, as leader of the UK Independence Party, resign? Because everybody talks about, well, Jeremy Corbyn resigned. He's just won 2 leadership elections. He got a bigger mandate the second time than the first time. Nobody's asking, will Theresa May resign? Nobody's asking, will the loser, idiot, Jeremy Hunt resign? Certainly nobody asks if Paul Nuttall will resign. He, more than any other political leader in the country, has serious problems right now. Defeat in Stoke, I think, is his Waterloo. The fact that nobody else in the mainstream media will tell you that tells you absolutely everything you need to know about where their interests lie.